Hello and welcome everyone, my name's Jo Huey and today I'm going to be doing a technique with you that is to help you with your anxiety and to manage your anxiety and for you to experience what it's going to feel like with that anxiety totally gone. This is a technique that I learned on a course that I did and it is hugely effective and I want to share it with you. So specifically for anxiety, and I'm going to explain the technique and the principle of it, and then I'm going to talk you through it. So a couple of important things to note first. One, you need to make sure you're safe in a safe space and very grounded, and I'm going to explain how you do that in case you don't know. Also, you need to be quite clear about what it is that makes you feel anxious, what do you fear, what are you excessively worrying about, and you need to have that really clear before we start doing the exercise. So what I will suggest is for you to get that clear in your mind before we begin. So you might need to pause the video, and then once you've got that to mind, then you can obviously start it, because you're going to need to have that to work on that. This technique can be used when you're in the midst of feeling anxious, because you've got those feelings, maybe in a different context, and you can use this technique because those emotions will be already present. But for this exercise, we're going to have to remember a time when you feel anxious. So get that to mind first. And then lastly, we need to understand where our timeline is. So a timeline really, in its simplest terms, is where we see the past and where we see the present and where we see the future. So for me, my past is generally behind me and my future is in front of me. Some people have it, diagonally or all sorts of ways. So maybe in a sort of that shape, in a sort of semicircle. So you need to kind of know, and it's a feeling. It's you'll just know where if you sort of say, well, where do I think my past is? If I had to give it a direction, which direction would it be in? And if I had to give my present a direction, where would that be? Is it right here, right now? Where would my future be? Is it over there, over there? Where is it? So just sort of question yourself around where that is. Keep it simple, and once you've done that, then you can begin the exercise. So this exercise is looking at the timeline, and this timeline is going to help us because we're going to be floating above it. So I'm going to explain more about this. So hopefully you can see all that. So this is the timeline here. We've got the past, we've got the future, and we've got the now, the present. Okay, so once you decide where that is for you, we've got your past, now and future, and we've got something called event. Now this is just a simple word to use to describe what it is that you are fearful of and worrying about, whether that's driving to places you don't know, doing a performance, a presentation, difficult conversations, fear of lifts, fear of illness. It could be anything. So we just call it event, just because it makes it simple. And then what we're going to do is we are going to, in our mind's eye, float above the event or the thing that makes us anxious. We're going to float above it and act as if we've already achieved this thing, we have completed it, we've been successful, and we aren't basically feeling anxious at all. And then we're going to turn back and look towards the now. So we're going to look towards where we are now and notice where that anxiety is. Basically, the anxiety will be gone. If for any reason it isn't, it could be that the anxiety isn't disappearing because you're perceiving it to be a motivator. And so subconsciously you're holding on to that, and the body does not like anxiety. It has a very bad effect on the body, as does trauma and things like that. So we need to find a different motivator instead of the anxiety. So I'm going to talk you through all of this in the exercise, all right? So that's basically the concept. So let's get started. So find yourself a comfortable seat and make sure your feet are both flat on the ground. Don't cross your legs. Make sure they're both flat on the ground. So for those of you that know how to ground yourself, go ahead and do that. For those of you that don't, I'm just going to talk you through a very simple technique. So it's just making sure that your feet are very flat on the ground and either imagining roots coming out of your feet, really pulling you down and making you feel like your foot is like really stuck to the ground. Or you could put heavy weights there, anything that's going to help you feel very grounded, all right? Once you've done that, just take a deep breath. Okay, so hopefully you're feeling relaxed in the seat that you're in. Then what I want you to do is make sure that you bring this, you've got your timeline, so if maybe your past is to your right and your future is to the left, then you've just got that imagined in your mind. Just have that there, we're going to need that. And then I want you to bring forward this memory, this feeling of anxiety that you have. And with that in mind, I want you to notice how it's feeling in your body, any thoughts that you're getting, any internal chatter that's happening. I want you to have that in your mind as well. So go ahead and close your eyes and just imagine that for the moment. So you're still sat in your seat where you are. I want you to get those feelings of anxiety, those feelings that you get when you think about that thing, that event. So with that in mind, what I'd like you to do is float in the direction of your future and above where you're sat now. So if it's easier, float up from where you're sat so that you're above now, and then look in the direction of your future and move along your timeline in the direction of the future. We're going 15 minutes into the future. So I want you to float up above your timeline and into the future, 15 minutes. So you're not going to be going loads into the future. So you're going to be going to a place now which is 15 minutes after you've been successful. So after you have done that journey, had that conversation, performed that thing, done that presentation. So you're already seeing yourself and you've already done this thing. Okay, so with that in mind, I want you to look now back along your timeline towards now. So you're still floating and hovering above where you're currently sat. You're 15 minutes into the future and you're looking in the direction of now. Where is that anxiety now? If you still feel like there is anxiety there, then that could be what I was talking about earlier. So there's, I'm interested to know that there's a part of you that thinks that it's important for you to hold on to this anxiety because you feel it motivates you. And I agree that it's important to have that motivation, but the problem is, as I explained, your body doesn't like anxiety. So are there any other ways that would be okay for you to motivate yourself and let go of that anxiety? Take a moment to think about that now. And for those of you that have felt that the anxiety is gone, just hover where you are over the event, looking back towards now. So if you're not already, if you move back to above now and you still feel like the anxiety hasn't gone, then there's some more work to be done and we can repeat this exercise. But for now, what we're going to do is move from floating above where you are currently sat, so you're looking down on yourself now. I want you to slowly move down into your seat. So you're floating back down from your timeline into the seat that you're currently sat in. I want you to feel your feet on the ground, wiggle your toes, notice your calves and your thighs and your bottom sat on the seat. Maybe wiggle your fingers and just start to feel your body in terms of your thighs. Maybe, touch your arms and notice that you are actually, maybe touch this chair that you're on. Notice that you are back in this seat. This is really important, and you need to make sure you're grounded before you leave this exercise and do something else. So make sure that you're comfortable with that and you feel ready back in the room. You can open your eyes and just a really big thank you for taking part. Notice how those feelings of anxiety have now gone and you are feeling that you have achieved this thing. Take from that any learnings that you might have received when you were floating up above that event, noticing, looking back to now and noticing that anxiety is gone. Reflect on how you felt, any learnings you've noticed. And then what I'd like you to do is think about a time in the future where that very same type of thing, whether it was a conversation, a fear specifically about, or a phobia or something like that, think about that in the future, how you will then feel. And notice that that anxiety isn't there. Notice that you feel confident that you'll be able to do that thing without feeling anxious. So just take a moment now to do that. And again, if you feel that there is still something there you haven't quite got, it could be that you're still subconsciously holding on to something, that you feel like this is going to motivate you. So you might need to repeat the exercise. So feel free to use this exercise for any other anxiety or different situations that you find yourself in. Always get in touch with me if you do need some support in this exercise. You can email me on joe@joehuey.co.uk, or you can give me a call on 07732 403305. I look forward to hearing about your results and how you got on with the exercise. Take care.